of the crisis report. This one's called Ceasefire Runaround. That's basically what it is. They keep talking to each other and saying, yeah, let's do a ceasefire. And then, like, it doesn't really materialize. So Hamas actually came out and said that they were, after basically Israel said, we're not going to do this, then Hamas was like, but wait, we want to do it. And Wyckoff came in and was like, no, we're not. Nobody believes you. So, yeah, we are in the runaround period. It just, I think we're just going to get more and more and more and more and more and more into this kind of crap. And it's just gonna keep getting run around, and the war is going to intensify. So, yeah. So if you're hopeful for a ceasefire in any of the conflicts, I don't think it's going to happen. So, they keep going, we're going to talk. We're going to meet in Doha. We're going to meet in Ireland. We're going to meet in Texas. We're going to meet everywhere. We're going to meet, and we're going to do a ceasefire talk. We have the language for a ceasefire talk. No, you don't. There's no ceasefire talk. Sure, you're talking, but you're not completing it. So that is what's going on. And that's why it's kind of a problem. So, because eventually people get tired of this stuff, and one of the other sides is going to just drop the hammer. I think Russia's getting ready to do that myself. They're amassing many thousands of people up in Arian, supposedly in June. They're going to create a buffer zone, which whatever that may look like. So, same thing with Israel and Hamas. Talking, but it's not really going anywhere. So, what I can say is this: is hold on to your butts. We're not anywhere near any kind of a cessation of any of these conflicts. I think it was Merz of Germany came out and said, this is going to go on for a long time. So if you're hoping, you might want to come back to reality. So, all right, folks, this is your crisis report for May 26, 2025. It's Monday. Hopefully you had a wonderful Memorial Day and you grilled out and you chilled out. Me, I mowed the lawn and other stuff. So we actually did some real estate looking. So I think we have a plan. We'll see how that all goes, but we'll figure it out later. It's basically nothing has changed since last couple days. So this is your crisis report. Lock in. Here we go. Japan says United States tariff talks are going to accelerate. European markets are rallying as Trump delays the 50% EU tariffs. Iran has rejected a push to suspend uranium enrichment to reach the U.S. deal. Everybody's just basically talking, and in the meanwhile, as they're talking, they're getting their stuff ready for more war. Pro-EU centrist Nikki Dan, sworn in as the Romanian president. No comment. I'll say this. You keep stopping what is inevitable. If you keep trying to shove down what is inevitable by the people, the pressure will build and it will explode. So I wish that guy luck. I don't think he really understands how, well, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Kremlin says Putin defending Russia after criticism from Trump. Finland has summoned the Russian ambassador over a suspected aerospace violation. Macron was shoved in the face by his wife Bridget, on video. So, South Africa is going to buy gas from the United States in a proposed new trade deal. So, Trump doing his thing again. Trump says he will be making a Memorial Day speech at Arlington National Cemetery, 11 a.m. Probably came and gone. President Trump says he's considered giving $3 billion of Harvard grant money to trade schools across the country. I think that's the best $3 billion I've ever heard of being spent. How could you not get a return on investment by training electricians, welders, carpenters, and other people that are in the trades? Seriously. They're going to provide a heck of a lot more value to our economy than a bunch of schmucks out there, talking about how great Karl Marx is. So, I say do it. I could care less what happens to Harvard. Kremlin says the West is lifting range limits on Ukraine arms. This is quite dangerous. This is kind of the bigger story tonight. Ceasefire talk and all that. Just kind of frustrated with the whole thing. Like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to make it. No, you're not. But yeah, that is a big story. The range thing means more war, effectively. Francis Macron calls for a world order based on law in Vietnam. Okay. Ecuador's biggest oil refinery has been hit by a fire. Netanyahu says hopes to make a statement on Gaza and their hostages today or tomorrow. I haven't seen anything since, so I guess he hasn't done that yet. Trump's media company is preparing to raise $3 billion to buy Bitcoin, crypto. ECB's Lagarde has criticized Trump's terrible language on the EU. Car plowed into a crowd during a Liverpool victory parade. I would just like you to know, and I'm sure you will hear 65 times, that he is a white man. Okay? So you really need to tell that to everybody. Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron arrived in Vietnam, and the Elysee first called the video fake and disinformation, then backtracked, calling it a banal couples teasing. Quote, we were bickering, or rather just fooling around with my wife, but to my surprise, it turned into some kind of planetary catastrophe. People are saying all sorts of nonsense. Everyone just needs to calm down, Macron said. Of course, this is after he lied, so it was a good shove. I know I would be taken aback if my wife were to shove me the way she did. In fact, she's the one that shoved me. She's like, look at this. I was like, okay. Far-left anarchists claim responsibility for the electricity blackout in southern France. Covered that yesterday. That video is doing pretty good. All right, Austrian court overturned former Chancellor Sebastian Kurz's conviction last year for giving false testimony on Monday. The Vienna Higher Regional Court issued a ruling in the appeal proceedings surrounding an alleged false statement before the Ibiza Investigation Committee. Court overturned the lower court's ruling and acquitted Kurtz. What side of the political aisle is he on? If you know, put it in the chat. Be interested to see. Germany's Chancellor Merz declares no more limits for weapon system. Ukraine can now also defend itself by attacking military positions in Russia. Ukraine's Zelensky is going to visit Berlin on Wednesday. Israeli government is going to approve an IDF reserve force cap increase, adding 50,000 reservists to each 450,000 for Operation Gideon's Chariots. Poland's Tusk has announced that he will no longer take back migrants who crossed illegally into Poland or from Poland to Germany. Nearly 70,000 South Africans have expressed interest in applying for asylum to the United States. The body of Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre has been cremated because why would you want to have any evidence? FBI has reopened its investigation into the cocaine found at the White House during Joe Biden's presidency. Put a funny meme onto my Subscribe Star and Locals, and it basically says, we started the Biden presidency with a denial of Hunter Biden's laptop, and the presidency ended with him pardoning Hunter Biden for his laptop. Yeah. Russian President Vladimir Putin claims that Western elites have orchestrated a coup in Ukraine, leaving Russia with no choice but to defend itself, basically saying 2014 that happened, and now you're getting the after results because, again, you can only avoid reality for so long. Police in London have arrested a 53-year-old white British man. White. He's white. He's a Caucasian. He is white. He is white. He drove a van into a crowd during a Liverpool Football Club's victory parade. Some douchebag who takes football too serious had a few too many, India Pale Ales, and basically commandeered a van and started driving into people. So, yeah. Tom Barrack, U.S. Ambassador to the Republic of Turkey and Special Envoy to Syria. A century ago, the West imposed maps, mandates, penciled borders, foreign rule. The Sykes-Picot divided Syria and the broader region for imperial gain, not peace. The mistake cost generations. We will not make it again. That's actually an incredibly correct statement. Era of Western interference is over. The future belongs to regional solutions, but partnerships and diplomacy grounded in respect, as President Trump emphasized in his May 13th address in Riyadh. Gone are the days when Western interventionists would fly to the Middle East to give lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. Syria's tragedy is born in division. Its rebirth comes through the dignity, unity, and investment in its people. Starts with truth, accountability, and working within the region, not around it. We are standing with Turkey, the Gulf, Europe, this time not with troops and lectures or imaginary boundaries, but shoulder to shoulder with the Syrian people themselves. With the fall of Assad regime, the door is open to peace, eliminating sanctions. We are enabling the Syrian people to finally open that door and discover a path to renewed prosperity and security. It's very, very honest speech, Turkish intelligence chief Ibrahim Kalin says Turkey is no longer a bystander watching history unfold by the water's edge. It is now a nation shaping the course of history itself. 2018, a 40-year Japanese government bond yielded as little as negative 0.25%. These are called NERP, as a negative interest rate policy or whatever. Just 2 years ago, a 40-year government bond yielded negative 1.3. Same bond now yields over record 3.5%. This is not normal. Again, this is that economic blog I follow, the Kobesi letter. Highly recommend it. It's in my Substack here. So, yeah, it's not normal. There's a lot of problems going on in the Japanese bond market. If you know anything about the Great Depression, you know that it didn't just randomly start. It was Kreditenstalt over in Europe that kind of started the domino effect. Well, Japan is kind of making its case for starting the domino effect in 2025. Harvard's 800 Indian students face deportation. University has a 72-hour ultimatum. Turn over specific information related to Israeli protests on or off campus related to students to retain SEVP certify, according to Financial Express. Russians have reportedly captured 35 settlements with a pre-war combined population of roughly 14,000. Bakhatir and Torsk being the largest with 3,400 residents. The Russians are really chewing up and taking village after village. Financial Times, Russia is now producing missiles and drones faster than it uses, stockpiling reserves and ratcheting up pressure on Ukraine's stretched defenses. Texas lawmakers have approved a bill mandating that the Ten Commandments are going to be displayed in every public school classroom. Governor Abbott is expected to sign the bill into law. Religious attendance by generations. Boomers were young adults. They had 15% that were never attenders. It's 38% of Zoomers right now. So, trending wrong. Brazil President Lula diagnosed with vertigo causing ear condition. Hope he gets better. Totally. 8 inmates who broke out of jail in New Orleans 10 days ago have all been captured with the exception of 2 escapees that are still on the run. Doing great work. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem stated that the U.S. gave Iran a deadline of days, not weeks or months. That's the next conflict. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar warned major world powers that their unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state would be met with Israel imposing sovereignty over the West Bank. Unilateral moves against Israel will be met with unilateral moves by Israel. U.S. Air Force RC-135 Rivet Joint Reconnaissance Plane is currently flying over the Persian Gulf. Aircraft is conducting electronic surveillance missions near the Iranian aerospace, and Netanyahu says Jerusalem will remain unified under Israeli sovereignty. Israeli government has approved a resolution to authorize the recruitment of up to 450,000 reserve soldiers, highest number approved since 10/7/23. And an Iranian surveillance drone, call sign Padakam, Hex 731 BCD, detected operating off the eastern coast of the UAE, probably tracking U.S. Navy movements in the area. Something's going on. British media reports 17 people injured in the result of the car attack in Liverpool. Liverpool police say 27 people are now hospitalized after driver struck pedestrians in football near a parade route in Liverpool, Kingdom of England. German Chancellor Merz said Berlin, France, Germany, and the United States will no longer limit the range of weapons transferred to Ukraine. There are no more restrictions on the range of weapons delivered to Ukraine, neither by the British, nor by the French, nor by us, not even by the Americans, Merz said. Ukrainian President Zelensky will arrive on Wednesday in Berlin for meeting with Mr. Merz. Alarming stats. Ukrainian skies saw over 2,000 Shahed drones in 20 days. May 24th, 25th, Russia launched 300 drones, 69 missiles. Night before, 250 drones, 14 ballistic missiles. 2024, Ukraine's success rate against Shaheeds was 90%, greater than 90%. Now it drops to 30%. Commander Yakut, since January, Shahed drones fly at 2,000, 3,000 meters. Instead of 200, we can't reach them with our cannons anymore. J.D. Vance says that dating apps are probably more destructive than we fully appreciate. Young men and women just aren't dating. If they're not dating, they're not getting married, and they're not starting families. That's a great way to financial freedom. My wife and I met in a club, old school style. Germany's ThyssenKrupp breakup is underway. The German industrial giant ThyssenKrupp plans to become a financial holding, enabling major sell-offs. HQ is going to shrink from 500 to 100 staff, 1,000 admin jobs to be cut. Full exit from the steel trading, or 12.1 billion in euro revenue, 16,000 jobs. Auto supply units may be sold or shut. Only a shell will remain at best, said a manager. But don't worry, Germans. You can go join the army when you're in a full-on war with Russia by November. Top U.S. National Security Council officials for the Middle East, Israel, and Iran were among dozen dismissed in a major overhaul by Mr. Trump. National Security Council Middle East Director Eric Traeger and Israeli-born Director Marav Seren were among those ousted. Israel has rejected the 60-day ceasefire plan. Israel turned down the U.S.-backed ceasefire plans tied to Trump's personal guarantee. Proposal involved a 60-day ceasefire and phased hostage release. Hamas countered with a 70-day ceasefire plan demanding humanitarian aid. U.S. continues to press Israel for a resolution as humanitarian conditions are worsening. Ukraine is now highly likely to receive German Taurus missiles. Merz also emphasized that the need to supply Ukraine with long-range weapons. Germany is expected to provide 100 to 150 Taurus cruise missiles, counterpart to the UK French Storm Shadow or the Scalp EG. India views China as its primary adversary and Pakistan more of an ancillary security problem to be managed. Sources: the United States Defense Intelligence Agency's Worldwide Threat Assessment 2025. I like to read that. Trump: I'm considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools in and across our land. Don't just say it, do it, dude. Do it. Please do that. Do it from all of them. We don't need more Eastern African basket weaver degrees or, women's studies. We need electricians. We need engineers. We need all kinds of people that can do great things and build great stuff. We need HVAC. We need plumbers. We need, all that. So I don't need another, laureate or whatever. That doesn't do anything for me. I need people that can fix my house for cheap. Hamas agrees to Wyckoff's proposal for a Gaza ceasefire. Sure. Trump's envoy Wyckoff has rejected Hamas's claim that the group has agreed to his proposal for a hostage and ceasefire deal. What they do is they're like, no, let's talk, no. And then they're like, Israel will be like, no, we're not going to do it. And then Hamas will be like, wait, please, we want to do it. No, you don't. Germany's merits on Ukraine. We must be prepared for the war to last longer than any of us wish or can imagine. Told you everything you need to know. Putin obviously sees offers of talks as a sign of weakness because he's in control. He's kicking their butts and he's not going to stop. U.S. Army is going to cover the D.C. road damage from the June 14th parade. U.S. Army officials said the Army will be accountable for any D.C. road repairs that could come out of June 14th military parade. Parade, which will be held on the Army's 250th birthday and President Donald Trump's 79th birthday, will feature a host of heavy military vehicles, including 28 M1A1 tanks, 28 Bradley fighting vehicles, and 28 Strykers and 4 Paladins. And Elon Musk's Doge team has revealed that accounting records at the U.S. Institute of Peace had been deleted, but Doge has recovered them. So they're screwed. Good. So that is your crisis report. May 26, 2025. We're going to take it on over to the old PrepperNow for a little session of live streaming. We'd love to have you there. Folks, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing if you are new here. Darken out the bell. I'm sure you're not new here. I'm sure you didn't get a notification. That's all right. We're going to go on over to PrepperNow, and we're going to show again Borg why they're getting their butt kicked in politics. It's even worse than you know. Let me give you one stat. There are 3,100 plus counties in America. Over the last 2 elections, the only counties that increased in Democratic vote share were 57 out of 3,100. They're screwed. And the funny thing is they just keep doubling down on dumb. So you keep doubling down on dumb, Borg. You keep being the leftist progressive POS that you are and pushing all your crap and all that, and the rest of the world will keep moving and trending towards common sense and a little bit more of a conservative style. All right? Good talk. We'll see you when you finally succumb to the fact that you're losing. God bless, friends. Thanks for being here. You are not losing if you are here. You are getting the best information out there by a guy that knows what he's doing. You will never be promoted. You will never get a notification because that's all these freaking people can do. If that's the best they got, then they're definitely screwed because I'm not going anywhere.